Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here to discuss SEC basketball action from Tuesday night, the last day of February. We're now in March, Blake. Time to get excited about stuff. And there's a lot to follow, man. We got title chases, we got tournament bids, we got all kinds of stuff. But unfortunately, we start in Knoxville where the Vols win a game, but get a major blow when Zakai Ziegler went down last night, Blake.
Yeah. Obviously we don't know the extent of the injury, but I think anyone that watched it can tell you it's not good. Can't imagine he'll be playing basketball anytime soon. But again, that's pure speculation. It did not look good, and obviously didn't return in the game, and we can certainly talk more moving forward once we know the exact extent of the injury. But yeah, it was not something that looked good. But yet Tennessee still able to win the game, and not just win the game, but blow Arkansas out. And I think that was surprising to do it without Ziegler on the floor, because the one thing we talked about with Tennessee, we've said it for all year, but we recently said it in another video, was just, man, you can't wait until Tennessee gets fully healthy. And that may not happen in terms of having all their guys on the floor now, heading into this run in March. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Obviously Kyrie Key didn't play. Phillips came back. That was significant. Of course, James is back now. But it's just like that has sort of been the story of the season for Tennessee. You get one guy back, then another guy gets hurt. And again, I just don't think you can underestimate the value that Ziegler brings to them on both sides of the floor. And I know it's, your initial reaction can be, well, look what they did in this game. They'll be fine. Man, it's just in tournament settings and those kind of games, it's just, man, you really need a guy like that on the floor. But yeah, I mean, as for again the individual game itself, give Tennessee a lot of credit. They did what they always do. They defended very well, made it hard for Arkansas to get easy shots, and forced turnovers. And Arkansas could just never find a rhythm offensively. And it's like, tell me if you've heard that before when teams play Tennessee and they're kind of clicking on defense. So yeah, it was. I mean, it's pretty impressive win for Tennessee. There's no other way to put it. I mean, they were in complete control for a large portion of the game. I don't think Arkansas ever had a lead, and yeah, Arkansas just couldn't make shots. I mean, I guess you could say they went 8 of 22 from three. If you want to find a bright spot, 36% is pretty good for Arkansas, but 13 and 22 from the free throw line. Just the turnovers again. I think that was something, and you could just tell just the physicality of Tennessee really made it difficult for Arkansas in that game.
Two things here. I think there's the injury, right? But the injury happening at the beginning of a game or near the beginning of the game, the first half, when the gym goes deadly silent. For a team to react the way Tennessee did in the midst of, I don't know what label you put on it, shock, and to go out and play like that was impressive. Number two, I know all the Rick Barnes criticisms, the regular season Rick and all that. And sure enough, if they don't make it to the second weekend, you're going to hear it again. But we'll start giving out awards next week, and I don't think Rick Barnes is our coach of the year. I mean, I think that's probably Nate Oates and maybe Dennis Gates. But, I mean, he's done a phenomenal job.
You're forgetting somebody. Yeah, we'll give our spoilers, but I'm leaning towards someone that has not been mentioned in those
Okay.
group you just said. So,
well, point is, I don't know that he, like, if you give a short list of guys that have done tremendous coaching jobs this year in the league, I don't know that Rick Barnes is on everybody's list, but my goodness, they're so consistent every year. And what you said about the injuries, no team in this league has suffered more key injuries this year and lost more key minutes to big-time players than Tennessee has. And yet here the Vols are probably on the 3-seed line. ESPN was making an argument that Tennessee could be on the 2-seed line. I would have to dig in that a little bit further, but the big wins, the net ranking, everything seems to put them there. The predictive computers, Just wanted to say, I don't think there's a coach in the league I respect more than Rick Barnes, and he's done a very, very good job this year.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think that's true. I think Tennessee fans are still a little frustrated with some of the recent performances, but I mean, this is one that obviously can get you back in the good graces. Just like you said, how to respond to what happens after the first 3 minutes or whatever. Your leader goes down with a significant injury, and yeah, so I think just to see them bounce back the way they did, that's encouraging. I mean, again, there's no denying Barnes' ability to coach. I mean, it's just after a certain point, it is kind of. I mean, the reality is what it is, and I think it's just sure they've underachieved relative to expectations in the tournament before, and we've seen that happen, and so that kind of continues to build that pressure in that regard. But I just think it's yeah, we'll see. I mean, they're obviously in a good position. All they need is a Missouri loss on Wednesday, and they'll lock up a double bye in the SEC tournament. Because I think at that point they would hold tiebreakers over Auburn or Vanderbilt, no matter what happens at Auburn on Saturday. Because that would mean Tennessee and Auburn would split their season series. If Auburn won, then it would go to who has the win over the best win, starting from the number 1 seed down. And of course, Tennessee's win over Alabama gives them the ultimate tiebreaker over pretty much everyone right now. So, yeah, so I think that's unless, of course, Auburn beats Alabama tonight, then that changes a little bit. But yeah, so I think Tennessee's sitting in a good spot, and from a seeding standpoint, from a long-term outlook, if Ziegler's out an extended amount of time, then I think you have to sort of, look at things a little differently. But they do have depth, and we've talked about that all season. But it's just, can you replace throughout, not just in one game, but can you replace what he brings to the table when you get in those tournament type settings? That will be a question if he's out for an extended amount of time.
All right, Arkansas. What do we extrapolate from the Arkansas end of this?
I mean, it's disappointing, but I don't know that it's, we obviously thought it'd be a closer game, but is it shocking that Tennessee can do that to someone? No. We've seen it before. Like it's not that shocking that when Tennessee's on, they can do that. They did it to Alabama. Now they've done it to Arkansas, and they've done it to a lot of other teams this season. And I don't think it's. I just think again, it's that's just kind of sometimes how it works when you play a team like Tennessee. That what the phrase we've used is, I don't think you're going to see another team play defense in the country the way Tennessee does, and that just can completely throw you off the game if you're not ready for the physicality, if you're not, kind of ready for just what the grind of having to play Tennessee for 40 minutes can be a lot. And, I think that when you're not on, the way Arkansas was not on in this game, this is what can happen. And it doesn't matter if your name's Arkansas or Alabama or anybody. Like, we've seen that when Tennessee played the way they did in this game, especially on the defensive end of the floor. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's disappointing if you're Arkansas, but I don't know that, you come out of this all of a sudden not thinking you can go far in March still, because I think it's all about the matchups. And I mean, that's like, we can all talk about Tennessee and say they're not going to do this in the tournament and not do that and whatever. But like, if Tennessee has the right matchups and teams aren't playing well against their physicality and how they play defense, then this is a team that can get to the Final Four. I mean, you say, oh, well, no, they're not, because Rick Barnes is coach, and that's fine. But like, if you actually watch the games and see the matchups, like, there is a path there just based on how they play. And so, I mean, it's again, disappointing for Arkansas just to play that way. But sometimes you just chalk it up as a game against a team that just played well, and that's what Tennessee did. And the bigger thing I think now for Arkansas is they're 8-9 in the league and play Kentucky on Saturday. We'll see how that unfolds. We talked about the 8-10 dilemma. What happens if they're 8-10? I think Arkansas certainly has an out that Mississippi State doesn't have, but yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I think you kind of flush that one and try to learn from it. That's what we said with Alabama when they lost to Tennessee and couldn't get their offense going, and just kind of a frustrating night for them. I think it's somewhat similar here in Arkansas scenario.
All right, Georgia's slide continues. Florida goes, of course, without Colin Castleton to Athens and wins last night. Will Richard, who's maybe the most efficient scorer in the league, I wonder sometimes if he gets off enough shots. We got off enough last night. He had 8 of 11. Scores 24 points. Myron Jones had a good game. Riley Kugel had a nice game. Not a lot of significance in this other than maybe SEC tournament seeding, but hats off to Florida. The Gators have not quit since Castleton went down and get a road win.
Yep. I tried to give the Bulldogs a win in the Mike White Bowl this season, but it didn't work either time. So, yeah, it was, kind of one of those games Georgia would get close, make a run, but Florida just kept scoring. I think down the stretch there were, I don't know how many possessions in a row Florida scored. Georgia just couldn't stop them. And so, yeah, I mean, Riley Kugel, I thought was, I know Richard had 24 points, obviously give him a lot of credit, but I still look at Riley Kugel and thought he was the difference in the game. Just the way he played in that one. And obviously Jones helping in the rebounding department was significant. So, yeah, a nice performance for Florida. Again, just given, I think Georgia, as we said, was going to probably always kind of come back to where you kind of thought they would be, or entering the season. Obviously, they started 3-1 in league play, and we just kind of said, boy, that schedule gets a little bit tougher. And it really has been. I mean, you look at their schedule, it's been really like they've played a pretty tough SEC schedule when you look at just how it's kind of fallen. With some of these games and like back-to-back games on the road. You look at kind of their road trips this year, right? Had to go to Alabama and Arkansas back-to-back. Had to go to Auburn and A&M back-to-back. So like just the way the schedule's set up, yeah, they just haven't played well in a little while outside of that Kentucky game was really the one that stood out. So, like I said, good win for Florida. They're back to 500 on the season. Seeding now, they're in a 3-way tie with Arkansas and Mississippi State at 8 and 9. I have not done the tiebreakers on those yet because you look at sort of the, just sort of how all these games can unfold. It's going to be very interesting because, obviously Wednesday night's games will matter for seeding, but Saturday's games, a lot of interesting scenarios that can play out in terms of, SEC tournament seeding and all that. So what we do know now, I think, Chris, this has to be right? Georgia, we officially know the Wednesday night games, correct? Because Georgia's 6 and 11.
I would have to double check that, but
Georgia's 6 and 11. The next closest team is 8 and 9, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and all the 8 and 9 teams have already played. They played on Tuesday night, right? So we know the 4 teams. We don't know the matchups, but we know that Georgia, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and LSU are all going to play on Wednesday night. So
yeah, and Georgia would be locked in as the
yes, Georgia's going to be the 11.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Mississippi State, Florida. Now, I guess there's not a tie there. No, there's not. Okay, never mind. You're right. Okay. Moving along. A&M Ole Miss, pretty close to how you would have drawn it up. A&M outscores another team from the foul line despite playing on the road. Ballot scoring from starters. Matt Morrell's been very good for Ole Miss recently. It's usually not enough. It wasn't again. A&M now 7-4 on the road, Blake. It's pretty good.
Yeah, but boy, this was a tale of kind of I don't know. This one did not start well for the Aggies. So Ole Miss got out to 28 lead and kind of wondered a little bit at that point because they were not playing well, and Ole Miss was just hitting shots and wondering, hey, are they just going to continue to do what they did against LSU? And yeah, they kind of came back down to earth on that one because A&M made a run and that kind of changed things before half. And I thought that was significant. If Ole Miss goes in carrying a lead at half or something, maybe things turn out a little differently. But A&M just kind of made that run after the initial slow start. I think they went on a 12-0 run. I want to say it was 20-8, then it was 20-20. So yeah, that was just kind of the way it unfolded. But as we said, a lot was at stake for A&M. Not surprised that maybe it was a little difficult at times to just pull away from Ole Miss, just given how they play. But Yeah, otherwise, a game that A&M had to win to stay in the SEC title hunt, and that is obviously the setup here. They need help, of course. They need Auburn to beat Alabama on Wednesday nights in order for that game on Saturday in College Station to be winner take all for the SEC regular season title. Again, I don't care if the SEC says it's co-champions. If the two teams that are battling for first place play each other on
Here we go.
Saturday, I'm going to give the regular season title to the winner of that game because that's why we played the games. So you can congratulate yourself, I guess, whoever loses that game on a co-regular series. Well, if it's Alabama, that's the only way it would be a co-regular season champion. But I'm gonna award the winner of that one. But my guess is it's probably gonna be hard for it to get to that point because, like we said, that's gonna take Auburn beating Alabama. But at least A&M is in that position, 14-3 now in the SEC and safely in the NCAA tournament. This was the game we said that, if you drop this one, you don't want to give the committee any sort of reason to rethink things. But this was the one I think they were already in no matter what. But by winning this one, A&M is a complete lock and just a matter of seeding now because what if they do have the setup of perhaps playing for the regular season title on Saturday again? I don't think that's going to happen, but at least it's still in play entering the final 2-game nights of the regular season.
All right. South Carolina continues this thing where it either loses by 40 or takes anybody and everybody to the wire. And Carolina scared the pants off State and Starkville last night. But Tolu Smith was good again. Shaquille Moore was good again. Gigi Jackson and his sort of return tour since sitting down a lot following the social media comments and everything, I guess he and Lamont Paris are right now is playing well. Look, Carolina continues to fight. I give that team a lot of credit because there's not much to play for. And State got the bad loss avoidance it had to have to stay in the conversation for an NCAA tournament bid.
Yeah, this game does nothing for you other than gets you one step closer to, it avoids a bad loss and gets you one step closer to 500 in league play, which continues to be my thing. So the setup is officially there now. They're at Vanderbilt on Saturday. They win that game, they're in the tournament. I don't think they're getting left out at that point. So that's just my belief because what will also happen in that scenario is if they win, they'll move to 9-9 in league play. Of course, it matters what everyone else does, but they're probably going to wind up being, let's see. So they're probably going to wind up as, well, though we've still got Wednesday night games. So there's still a lot of movement possibilities based on Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Auburn because it's kind of funny how this is played out because you had all the 8 and 9 teams now played on Tuesday. Well, now all the 9 and 7 teams are going to play on Wednesday. So there's actually still a lot of interesting possibilities, I guess. And I've not looked that far into the scenarios for a Mississippi State of if they win on Saturday, let's say an Auburn, Missouri, and Vanderbilt all lose, which I don't think is that out of the realm of possibility for Wednesday night's games. Then that sets up a really wild scenario where you've got 6 teams within a game of each other heading into Saturday. So I don't want to work all those scenarios just yet, but my point is I think Mississippi State will be in a position to where, if they win at Vanderbilt, it doesn't matter what happens in the SEC tournament because at that point they will play probably, like my guess is they're probably going to play, a team that's projected to be in the tournament or near the tournament. Now, here's the ultimate setup, and I don't remember who did I talk to about this yesterday. I don't even remember who it was, but the ultimate scenario, right, is maybe we talked about this. I can't recall. The Mississippi State Auburn play-in game, essentially. Like, what happens if they get paired in the SEC tournament? Then I think
that might be winner takes it and loser doesn't.
That's absolutely what it would be at that point. Because if you see and of course that's depending on, we're discounting if Auburn doesn't beat, let's say they don't beat Alabama or they don't beat Tennessee, then you've got that set up. But otherwise, I said I still think for Auburn the number is 1. All they have to do is win one of these next 2 games and they're in. But that would be a fascinating scenario if it comes down to Mississippi State versus Auburn, maybe even in a, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the seeding would be at that point. If it's an 8-9 game, something like that. We've seen that before in the SEC tournament where winner goes on, loser goes home, not just at the SEC tournament, but the NCAA tournament. So that's where Mississippi State stands. But hey, if they don't win at Vanderbilt on Saturday, then I think, that's where seeding does become very important in the SEC tournament because they need quality win opportunities at that point. And they will probably need to hope that, that they'll finish 8-10, which means they're probably going to be a 9 or a 10 at that point. So you're going to play teams a little ahead of you. All that to say, they need to win on Saturday. That's about all I think for Mississippi State. The formula is very simple.
Parting thoughts. I know we got some big games tonight that'll have an impact on things. And, of course, it's all over for the regular season Saturday. We'll have full coverage. Blake and I will be credentialed media at the SEC tournament. And, Blake, what do our subs do? What do our listeners do if they see us on Media Row?
Gosh, what was the phrase? I'm sorry. I'm like,
good job, ref. Was that it?
Good job, ref. That was it. My recall. I feel like it's Wednesday. I don't know what day it is. Yeah, good job, ref. If you see us, you yell "good job, ref," because we know that'll be one phrase that'll stand out in the arena that no one else will be saying. So, unless it's in sarcastic tone, you have to say it in a serious tone. Because if it's sarcastic, then we're just going to assume everybody's thanking the ref for their good job, which may be a bad job in actuality. So, yes, that's what you do. And yeah, we'll figure out our schedule for next week. Obviously, we don't know the details on all that just yet, but I mean, you're still going to get your normal stuff. Like we'll be there, but like, you're still going to get the normal stuff you always get. Like that's just kind of how it works. So, everything will be turned around a little bit quicker because you'll have games every day from Wednesday on, but we'll do that. And of course, this weekend we'll start to put together our SEC awards and everything. So we'll have those videos maybe coming out on Sunday. And then we're planning right now, and this is TBD, to do a live stream next Monday night, just kind of sort of preview the SEC tournament. And then, of course, we'll have our usual picks videos and everything. Yeah, we got a lot to do. So hit that subscribe button, and we appreciate the support.
And trying to keep one eye on baseball, too, which is a little difficult to do, but we will be doing that as well. Been watching a good bit of college baseball. So,
I'll be watching basketball because it's March.
We sleep in April.
So, sorry, baseball. You can have April on. It's March, baby.
I will be keeping an eye on baseball. Blake may not be, but we will do
keep
enough
an
to
eye
talk
on it.
about
I'm just not. I'm not doing college baseball bracketology just yet. Let's just
look, college baseball in February and early March, when everybody's fingers are frozen and you're getting 13-run innings against overmatched teams that haven't practiced all winter. It doesn't tell you a lot, but there's still an appetite for it. So,
yeah, well, eat up.
In any case, we got lots of stuff. We're continuing to put out football videos where there's news, tons of basketball content coming. Can't wait for awards. Been doing my research on those. Nowhere near finished.
Can't believe you forgot a name and so we in the Coach of the Year race.
Well, I know who it is now. I think we have a disagreement on that, but I mean, look, he's in contention.
I'm not saying he's going to win it. I'm just saying you can't leave the guy out of the conversation.
You're right. He should be on the short list, and you would be talking about.
I don't think he's on the short list. I think he's either 1A or 1B.
You think he's the guy? Okay. Well, we may have a discussion
Folks,
on that.
Buzz Williams has led the Texas A&M Aggies to a 14-3 record in SEC play. How can he not be 1A or 1B with Nate Oates right now? And I know what the comments are going to be on Oates, but I mean, I think if this is for me, it's about Buzz Williams. How is Buzz Williams not in the Coach of the Year? He has to be either the favorite or the slight underdog. He's even ahead of my client Dennis Gates. I'm sorry. Like there's no question. They're 14-3 in the SEC. Come on.
No.
Oh my goodness.
He had a bigger runway.
What?
He did.
So.
How long's Dennis Gates been in Missouri? What is going on here?
But it's not a Missouri thing.
Dennis Gates' agent.
Texas A&M is 14-3 in the league.
Okay.
I mean, they could beat Alabama even if they don't win the regular season. If they beat Alabama on Saturday, it'd be 15-3. This team has 2 quad 4 losses. All right, we'll save that for
4
another one.
years to get there. Dennis Gates got
Oh
there
my
yesterday.
goodness! Dude, what is this? Is this a lifetime achievement award? Like we're talking about this season. Come on. My goodness. Holy
I
cow.
love it when I get
Texas
you
A&M.
riled up.
Let's bring in the Aggies.
All
Goodness gracious.
We will discuss that later. We'll have a
Chris
good
is
time.
going to baseball. That's it.
I've just been booted from the show.
See you later.
Oh, I've learned something this week too. If we ever launch lacrosse, I'm learning about lacrosse. I've got a daughter playing now. We had a game last night, which cut severely into my basketball watching time. Did you know they have yellow and red cards in lacrosse?
No, I couldn't tell you the first thing.
I didn't know till last week.
I will tell you quickly, baseball wise. Well, we really drug out this last 6 minutes, but
wait before we go baseball. I got something I want to throw. There's a rational segue here. Why don't we have yellow cards in basketball? I think that'd be awesome. Like you could card coaches. Who would lead SEC basketball in yellow cards? I think I have an answer.
You talking about coaches or players?
Anybody.
I've got a player in mind, but I don't want to say his name because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
I do too.
I got this. I may give this player an award, his own award, but we'll decide on that.
Most coaches. Yellow cards. That could be an award. I know who get the most yellow cards. I think so too.
Coach, I don't know. I don't know who it would be. We'll put that in our awards. How about that? So,
coach, the guy who should get the most yellow cards. Why aren't you yellow card? That would be fun, man.
No. We don't need more game stoppages. All right.
Yeah, but you could come out of the timeout and they could lead back in, and while you're away, you could have the shot of the ref showing the coach the card.
I don't think so.
I think I know who'd get the most yellow cards in baseball too.
All right, let's wrap it up.
How do we bring yellow cards into this?
I don't know.
All right.
Cross somehow.
Yeah. Okay. We're getting off track. He's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. We'll be back with more hoops content soon. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. Helps us out. Hit the like button if you like this. That helps us out too. We'll see you again soon at Southeastern 14.